I was born in north of Italy, in a little town close to Venice, and then when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my mother and my father moved to the big city, to Rome, and but my connection with music really started as soon as I start to be aware of the world around me. Music was already there. In fact, my mother used to play some records in order to make me sleep or make me stop to cry. As soon as I heard music. Apparently even when I was like 3 months old, I stopped crying right away. When I came to Rome, I was about 6, 7 years old, and for the first time I had access to a little organ. And that's when I started probably to compose music. It was natural to me to come out with melodies, with little melodies. But actually already at the time the melody were pretty dramatic and sophisticated. My relationship with music when I was a child was very, very private. I was in my little room, and I was a very introverted boy, and most of my time was at the keyboard, just by myself, and just expressing whatever feelings I had. It was my escape, my way to feel safe, in a way. Music became my full-time activity much later. It took me about 20 years before I jumped completely into the music, and that's when I came here in America 15 years ago.
Okay, stop here. We have to stick around for a little bit on your childhood.
Yeah.
Were there anybody encourage you, or like the guidance or anything? Because if I see a child who can compose at the age of 6, I probably would think, gosh, we have a prodigy here,
Yeah, yeah. Well, my mother, of course, noticed that my talent and everything else, but at that time she attempted to introduce me to some teachings, to some teachers, to some lessons, to some school, and I was really rejecting the whole thing. I didn't want to be bothered with education at the time. So the only way to support me was for her to provide me better instrumentation. At the time we were very poor. We didn't have so much money. So for my mom to bring a piano at home, it was a very big deal. In fact, it took me about 7, 8 years before I could really have a vertical piano at home. Before I was little keyboards, little flutes, little guitars. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, of course they were aware that I was very talented. But there was something special that was coming up. There was something special, but everybody were so taken by having to provide for me, for the family. So time passed by, and then I have to come to the point where I was taking charge of my own life, and then I decide myself, okay, this voice that is inside me, that is pushing me to music, I have to really embrace it completely, and see where it will lead me.
Mm-hmm. And what make you to want to come to the United States?
Well, before I came, the final time, I came previously here for a different work. At the time I was a photographer, actually. I was working as a photographer in Milan. And I was the exclusive photography for a couple of magazines. and they sent me here in America. I was a photojournalist. They sent me here in America to take picture for AIDS. The AIDS at the time was a new disease in the early 80s, and there were only few people with AIDS here in San Francisco and New York, and the magazines flew me here in America to take picture and to build a story about this few people who were dying of this mysterious and new disease. So when I came here, the first time I came here I was in San Francisco, and for some reason I felt a sense of spaciousness, a sense of freedom that I couldn't find in Italy. So it was.
Wait,
Okay.
to stop. I cannot get rid of that sound.
Right.
Is that your phone?
Yeah. I'm just waiting to see if they leave in a message. We are going to talk more. Okay. Alright, can go back. So the first time I came in America, I came to San Francisco as a photographer, and I felt a sense of freedom that I could not find in my town in Italy, and I was very impressed by the energy. I felt like there was a huge amount of possibilities here. That's why later on I decided to come here and give it a try.
That was the year of 1980.
When first time I came here, it was probably 85, 86.
85 or 86.
Yeah, and then 3 or 4 years later, I dropped my photography, and I came here. I didn't even speak English. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any money. I remember. I just had a keyboard, and that's all. And tried to figure out this new world that was opening up in front of me. And what I did, I enrolled myself at the Musician Institute in Hollywood, and simultaneously I started to sing. I started to sing and play keyboard in restaurants and clubs, and that till today is still the way how I, provide the finances for my projects, for my musical projects, by performing.
Okay, let me summarize. So when you visited briefly in San Francisco to film the AIDS epidemic there,
Yeah.
the case there,
Yeah.
and then you feel difference between here, the new continent, and the old continent in Europe.
That's right.
Big difference, which
Yeah.
is a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
Could you be more specific when you say sense of freedom? If you have this kind of new sense of freedom, what's the old sense back there? Is
Yeah.
limitations,
absolutely. In Italy, I never felt like I could even consider to be a musician. It's very narrow, very corrupted, the environment of the industry, of the musical industry, and limited to a kind of music that wasn't mine. So when I came to America, it was like fresh air for me. I said, oh my God, here, for unknown reason, but I feel like there is a space for creating something magical. And that was like the seed that a few years later, lead me to come here. So yeah, there was a big difference for me, musically, being in Italy, being here. But the differences are very subtle. It's really difficult to say what is it, but probably Italy is the most beautiful country, but it's such a small country, and the possibilities are so little, While here in America, it feels like there is space on finding your own voice, and it seems like you have a chance to create something that hasn't been done before. It feels like you can do something that's never been done before here, while in Italy you don't have that.
Okay, we'll stop a second.
We can move the keyboard if it bothers you, you know? That thing.
That's fine. No problem.
Sure.
Okay, so we finally came to the United States now.
Yeah, we came in the United States. It was the 1991, I believe. I came to Los Angeles, straight to Los Angeles. And I literally start from zero. I start from nothing. Came here, I didn't know anybody, and I barely speak English, and very little money in my pocket, and a keyboard. So just started. I remember I had a little. I slept in a couch for a few weeks in a house in Venice.